We see Josh and his friends making a plan to steal $20 million from a billionaire's penthouse. What's strange, though, is that none of them had ever even stolen a pen before. So how did they get to this point? Some time ago, Josh worked at a tall building called the Tower. The billionaire, Arthur, an investment banker, lived in the penthouse on the top floor of this very building. Josh trusted him deeply, so much so that he entrusted Arthur with the entire pension fund for all his employees. One morning, as usual, Josh arrived at work. The building's general manager, Mr. Simon, told him he wanted to see Charlie and that Charlie needed to be there in the next 30 minutes. At that moment, Charlie arrived at the office 20 minutes late. Josh scolded him, saying Mr. Simon might fire him today. Actually, Charlie's wife was Josh's sister, and she was about to become a mother. A little later, Mr. Simon told Josh that he needed to evict a man named Fizzy from his penthouse. Josh then went to Fizzy's home. Fizzy hadn't paid rent for that penthouse for a long time. He used to be quite wealthy, but then he lost all his money. Josh told him to vacate the apartment as soon as possible. But when Fizzy asked for a little more time, Josh felt sorry for him and agreed. That evening, as Josh was returning home, the building's doorman, Lester, told him he was retiring next year. Then Josh and Lester noticed a car that had been parked outside the building for the past 2 days. Suddenly, several men emerged from around it, and Josh thought a robbery was about to happen in the building. So he immediately told Lester to close the door. Then he quickly went inside and yelled, "Code Black," to everyone. They checked the CCTV but couldn't see the men anywhere. However, they soon received news that Arthur had been kidnapped. Josh immediately ran after them to save Arthur. But then, a woman suddenly struck him hard, and at that very moment, the truck overturned on the road. Josh tried to explain to everyone that Arthur was innocent and these people were kidnapping him. But the woman then introduced herself as Agent Claire and said that Arthur was trying to escape from the police. It was then revealed that Arthur had committed a multi-million-dollar fraud. Finally, when Josh returned to the building, he told his staff that for many years, Arthur had been investing everyone's pension money for their benefit. But now hearing about this scam, everyone was furious because all their money was gone. A little later, news came that Arthur had been granted bail after paying $10 million. However, he would have to remain confined to his penthouse and could not go anywhere without the FBI's permission. Then Agent Claire announced that the penthouse was now no less than a high-security prison. She then asked Arthur about a special car present there, and he said it was a 1963 Ferrari 250 GT that previously belonged to Steve McQueen. Arthur said he bought this car for $1 million, and today its value was more than $10 million. Before leaving, Arthur asked Josh to arrange for food to be delivered there. Later, Josh asked Claire if Arthur was truly innocent and how they would all get their money back. Claire advised that it would be best to tell everyone that Arthur was indeed guilty. Later, as Josh was returning home, he saw some police officers taking away his childhood friend, Slide. But Slide had been involved in shady dealings for a long time, so Josh didn't pay much attention. Then we see Lester standing and walking towards the train tracks. A few hours later, Josh received a call and went straight to the hospital. There, Charlie told him that Lester was about to jump in front of a train, but a police officer pulled him back at the last minute, saving his life. When Josh met Lester, he revealed that a few months ago, he had given his entire life savings of $3,000 to Arthur to invest, but he had lost everything. Now Josh immediately set off for the penthouse to meet Arthur, but Charlie explained that he couldn't go up yet. At that moment, Fizzy arrived and said he was going to jail, and his wife had taken their children. Josh then remembered that Fizzy also worked in the stock market, so Josh asked Fizzy when Arthur would have known that all his money was gone. Fizzy said he would have known about a year ago. Finally, Charlie allowed Josh to go up, and then they told the FBI that Josh was there to take a breakfast order. After this, Josh directly asked Arthur why he took money from Lester. Arthur said he had done Lester a favor by investing his money. Then Charlie told him that Lester had jumped in front of a train last night. Josh then picked up a golf club and began walking towards Arthur's priceless Ferrari. Arthur nervously said he shouldn't make a mistake he couldn't fix. But Josh asked him, "Do you even care?" Arthur said, "Of course I care." Josh retorted, "You didn't even ask if Lester was alive or dead." Saying this, Josh shattered the Ferrari's window with the golf club. Later, Mr. Simon called them into his office and said he didn't care how much money Arthur stole. But what Josh and his associates did was absolutely unacceptable, so Simon fired all of them. Before leaving, Josh wished Miss Lou good luck for her law exam and then said goodbye to the rest of the staff before leaving. That night, Josh met Claire at a club. He told Claire that he wanted to get his staff's hard-earned money back. As Josh was about to leave, Claire asked him if he wanted to go for a drink. A little later, we see them both completely drunk. Claire then said that she shouldn't be saying this, but Arthur had hidden $20 million of his assets somewhere. Hearing this, Josh was stunned, and after Claire left, his mind started racing. The next day, he went to his old office in the tower to retrieve a notebook. He then saw some safes and finally gathered gathered Henry, Charlie, and Fizzy at his house. Josh, in fact, had a mischievous plan. Josh told them that Arthur had carried out some renovation work in his penthouse a while ago, and Josh was sure that Arthur had hidden the $20 million there. Now, Josh's plan was to steal this safe from the penthouse. Henry and Fizzy immediately agreed, but Charlie got up to leave. He said none of them knew how to steal, so how would they steal $20 million? Josh then said he knew a man who could help them execute this mission. Next, we see Slide locked up in jail. A police officer came and told him someone had posted his bail. When Slide came out of the police station, Josh was standing in front of him and said he needed Slide's help. Josh made him sit in his car and started making small talk. But Slide got very angry and sped up the car, asking, "What do you want?" Josh then stopped the car and told him about the mission to steal Arthur's $20 million. Soon, he took Slide to meet his team. Josh told everyone that Slide had spent time in jail multiple times. That's why he could definitely help them. But when Slide found out that none of them had ever stolen anything, he refused to join them. He said things could get complicated during a heist. Josh said they had included Slide in their team specifically to learn from him. Slide then told them all to steal one item each from the mall. If they all completed this task, he would join them in their mission. A little nervously, all three completed the task, and they all gathered at Josh's house, where they planned their next move. Josh then explained how they would get inside, avoiding the tower's cameras and security guards, and they were just planning to break into the penthouse when Agent Claire suddenly knocked on Josh's door, and everyone quickly hid. Later, Claire told Josh that Arthur would be declared innocent and acquitted next week. Also, Arthur had decided to sue Josh for breaking his Ferrari's window. However, if Josh apologized, he wouldn't do it. Finally, Josh went to apologize to Arthur so he could carefully examine the penthouse. Later, when Claire was dropping Josh home, she gave Josh the footage of him breaking Arthur's Ferrari. Before leaving, Arthur asked Claire if she would go out with him on Saturday night, to which Claire happily agreed. Later, when he entered his house, his teammates were quite upset because he was going to date an FBI agent. But then they started talking about the real mission. Slide said they would have a lot of trouble opening the safe because he had never stolen from such a high-tech safe before. Slide said they would have to find someone who knew how to open large safes. At that moment, a light bulb went off in Josh's mind, and he went to meet Odessa, who worked in the tower. Josh showed her the safe and asked if she knew how to open it. Odessa said it had many spindles and it would take her about 15 minutes to open them. The next morning, Josh and Henry were keeping an eye on the tower when they saw Charlie entering the building. When Josh asked Charlie for an explanation, Charlie told him that Mr. Simon had hired him again. Now Charlie was working for the tower, so he refused to be part of Josh's plan. On the other hand, Agent Claire received news that Arthur's hearing date had been changed to Thanksgiving Day. Furthermore, Arthur said that despite Josh's apology, he would still file a case against him. Claire then called Josh and told him that Arthur's court hearing would now be on Thanksgiving. Also, after Arthur filed the case, Josh would be sent to jail this week. Then as Thanksgiving Day arrived, Josh told Henry that Charlie's wife was going to her uncle's house by train today. He asked Henry to steal her phone, and Henry found Charlie's wife and stole her phone. Meanwhile, we see that Arthur was being taken from his penthouse to the court. In a short while, Henry came back with the phone, and suddenly Josh saw Slide walking towards the tower, dressed in a suit. Fizzy said this was not part of the plan, so Josh said that Slide wanted to betray them and steal all the money alone. Meanwhile, in the tower, Charlie suddenly received a message from his wife that their baby was about to be born in a few moments, so he quickly ran out in a hurry. As soon as he left, Josh and his friends got to work. In a few moments, they stealthily entered the tower. Then we see Slide, dressed in a suit, sitting in Mr. Simon's office. He falsely claimed that he had come from the bank to inspect the renovation work of Fizzy's apartment. During this time, Odessa brought a birthday cake, and all the staff started celebrating someone's birthday. Then Josh and his friends saw Simon going into the elevator with Slide, so all three ran up the stairs. As soon as Slide reached Fizzy's apartment, he suddenly locked Mr. Simon in a closet. Meanwhile, we see that Odessa brought a cake to the FBI agent outside the penthouse. But the agent was allergic to chocolate, so Odessa attacked him and knocked him unconscious. When Slide entered the elevator, Josh and his friends closed the elevator. After that, he opened the elevator ceiling and started climbing up. Meanwhile, we see that Josh and his team had already reached the penthouse, and they had blocked all the CCTV cameras. After this, they quickly started looking for the safe. In a few moments, Josh found a wall that was hollow inside, and he happily started breaking it down. But soon, Slide came from behind and pointed a gun at him. However, at that very moment, Odessa put a gun to Slide's head. Then, seizing the opportunity, Fizzy snatched the gun from Slide. After making Slide a captive, Odessa began opening the safe. Meanwhile, we see that when Agent Claire brought Arthur to court, they were told that the court was closed today, and the judge was also on leave. Claire realized that something was definitely wrong, so she immediately took Arthur and headed back to the tower. Here in the tower, Charlie had also returned because he had been misled with false news earlier. Charlie immediately went to the security room and asked if Josh had entered, but no one had seen Josh there. Meanwhile, in the penthouse, Odessa finally managed to open the safe, but as it opened, their jaws dropped. The safe was actually empty, and upon seeing this empty safe, Sly tried to snatch his gun back from Fizzy, but in this struggle, a shot was fired, which hit the Ferrari. Then Josh's eyes fell on the car, and when he scratched the paint, he was stunned. The entire car was actually made of gold. Then Fizzy calculated its value and said it would be worth approximately $45 million. Now, they all decided to steal this car together, but they couldn't just take it straight out of the building. That's when Josh got an idea. The tower used a very large crane to clean its windows, so Josh told Henry to bring this crane down. Then they removed the large glass window of the penthouse and started preparing to lift the Ferrari out with the crane. Meanwhile, returning in the car, Claire told Arthur that she thought his house was being robbed because someone had deliberately given her a wrong date to get him out of the penthouse today. In the penthouse, they hooked the car to the lift and pushed it out the window. Then Henry slowly started lowering the car to Fizzy's apartment floor. But then, the FBI agent outside the penthouse suddenly regained consciousness. Josh told Fizzy to pull the car into his house as quickly as possible, but he was terribly nervous. The FBI agent started knocking on the penthouse door. So Josh and Slide quickly climbed onto the crane's rope and slowly started descending. Just as Fizzy tried to grab the car and pull it inside, he suddenly slipped and found himself dangling in the air with the car. Finally, Josh and Slide climbed down and entered his apartment. Then Fizzy's hand suddenly slipped when Josh grabbed his hand at the last moment, saving his life. After this, we see that the agent's car was stuck in traffic at one point, so a police officer told them they would have to go around over the park. Meanwhile, Josh and Slide hooked the car and pulled it inside. Then we see Charlie arriving there, who was very angry with Josh, but when Josh revealed that the entire car was made of gold and was worth $45 million, Charlie also agreed to join their plan. Now they wondered how they would take this car down with the elevator. Then Henry stopped the elevator on the floor directly below them. Josh was looking for the car keys when he suddenly stumbled upon a notebook that contained all of Arthur's dirty dealings. Josh kept it with him, and then they all together placed the car on top of the elevator. During this time, Claire, along with her colleagues and Arthur, quickly entered the tower. Meanwhile, Josh and his team were still standing on the roof of the elevator when Henry said that security control was out of his hands, and the elevator suddenly started going down rapidly. Soon the elevator stopped, and the agents, along with Arthur, entered the elevator. Now the elevator was going up rapidly, and Josh was scared, thinking that the car might hit the ceiling and break before reaching the penthouse, but they narrowly escaped. Then Josh asked Slide where he had parked his truck. Josh then called Lester and told him that the plan had changed a bit, and now they absolutely had to get this car out of the tower. Meanwhile, when Arthur and the agents reached the penthouse, they were surprised to find the Ferrari missing. But then Claire said that Arthur had hidden information about the safe. This meant his bail was now over, and he would have to go to the police station with the police. Then Claire quickly went to the security room and saw a truck rapidly moving out of the tower, so she understood that the Ferrari was in this truck. Lester was driving the truck, weaving through the crowd. Soon the agents also started chasing him, but as soon as he turned into an alley, the police suddenly surrounded him. Now, as they opened the truck, it was completely empty. Then Claire asked Lester where his other companions were.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway, in a short while, the FBI arrested Josh and his team on suspicion of stealing the car. Now the police were taking all of them, along with Arthur, in the same truck to the police station. Arthur told Josh and his companions that he would be back in his penthouse in a few days, but all of them would rot in jail for years. Josh replied that they would all go to jail for a few years, but Arthur would have to spend his entire life in jail. Then Josh revealed that he had found Arthur's notebook containing all his dirty dealings. Arthur was terribly scared. He offered Josh and his team 10 times the car's value, but then Henry reminded him that later, Miss Lou came to the FBI office and said she was the lawyer for Josh and his companions. Then Lou handed the notebook over to the FBI and asked for Josh and his companions to be released immediately. Upon receiving this notebook, the police promised to release them all, but Josh would have to serve 2 years in jail, to which he agreed. In the end, we see Slide, Henry, Fizzy, and Odessa had reached the roof of the tower. Suddenly, they removed the swimming pool cover, and it was then revealed that they had hidden the car in the swimming pool. Arthur was sentenced to life imprisonment. On the other hand, Charlie was with his wife at this time, and a lovely baby girl was born at their home, and Josh only got 2 years. Finally, a few days later, a box arrived at the homes of the tower staff, and upon opening it, they rejoiced. It actually contained individual parts of the golden Ferrari. Meanwhile, even while serving 2 years in jail, Josh had a smile on his face. If you liked the video, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.